filled my mind with positive affirmations, with positive music. So I was listening to the song Believe. It's a house track, and it basically says, believe in yourself. You've got to believe in yourself. Believe. I won't sing for you because you probably would definitely turn off the podcast then. So I will put the names of the songs in along with this episode because it's amazing. And so I listened to this, and I not only listened to that when I was moving, I listened to it on the car in the drive to work and back. So those two things made a huge difference, which got me these results. And then the third thing I did is I switched off the news. I switched off the negativity. I did not need to know all about the financial crisis. I did not need to know how bad the markets were doing. I did not need to feed into the office banter about how recruitment is just null and void at the moment. There's no point in doing it. That no one's hiring. No one's doing this. I just kept my positive mindset, filtered out and switched off the negativity, and just focused on what I wanted to achieve. And I used the movement and the music to shift and release any of those fears that I had. Because of course fears come up, but I just didn't feed into them. Negative thoughts come up, we don't feed into them. So now, applying it to this situation, I'm using this technique that I learned again. Do I need to check the coronavirus statistics daily? I have some people that are pressing the refresh button on their phone every hour, sometimes every 15 minutes, sometimes every 10 minutes. Do you need to do that? Now, I'm not saying that go as extreme as I did during those times and completely switch off the news if that's not what you want to do or if you need it for your work. But what I'm saying is maybe have a check-in twice a day. Do you need to be feeding into the negativity? Because what we think and what we allow into our mind is going to affect us. It's going to affect our feelings. It's going to affect our thoughts. It's going to affect our behavior. It's going to affect our results. And it's going to impact those around us. Now, maybe you're living alone right now, so you're not impacting those around you. But even if you're talking to them on the phone, they can feel that tone and that energy. So those are the three main things I learned from that experience. And it's really so important now as well to make sure that what you listen to, what you read in the last hour of your before bed is the most important. Because whatever we read or listen to before we go to sleep will be playing in our mind for those 8 hours. It will be in our subconscious mind. So that's why whenever I work with a couple or an individual to help them change their life, I give them powerful meditations to listen to just before they go to sleep so that their subconscious mind can be processing and can be healing and doing some transformational work whilst they are sleeping. And this positivity that I was feeling gave me such strength. And it gave me so much strength and abundance and the feeling of I can do anything I set my mind to, which is a lovely belief to feel. It's a great thing to think, but to when you actually embody it and feel it, it was just bliss. So that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to follow my passion. I've always wanted to help people. I used to work on an emotional distress line when I was living in the UK for 4 years. And it was time to retrain, to do all of my qualifications, to be a counsellor, to be a coach, to be an emotional body worker. And that's when I started investing in further education and really planning my career switch to follow my passion, to follow my heart. So fast forward a few years later, and then this is actually maybe, quite a few years later, I had my second financial test. And I learned even more tips on how to get out of financial fear and into financial abundance. So let's just say, starting my own business, I was totally naive when it came to marketing. I had no clue. And after qualifying and getting some great results for people that I was working with, I wanted to upscale. I wanted to reach more people. I loved what I was doing. And I knew that I probably needed a marketing strategy, that I needed some help with social media because it scared me, that I needed to go networking and raise my business profile. Like, I had all of those gaps. I didn't have a clue what to do, how to go about it. It was pretty scary. So one day at an event, I met a lady and her colleague, and they said to me that they could really help me. They could help me build my brand. They could do graphics for me. They could do TV commercials with me. Basically, they just said everything I wanted to hear. They would run my Instagram. They would run everything. So I thought, wow, this sounds amazing. And they said, they would give me a really good price. So I thought, okay, great. So I signed up with them for 6 months. I trusted. Thought, yep, they can help me. I didn't have the right knowledge to rightly ask right questions. When would I see results? What would we be focusing on? What would they be doing? I just was like, yes, please, and handed over my money. And then after a few weeks, and then a few months, nothing was happening. I would call them, get scared that nothing was happening, worry, what have I done? Contact them, they would reassure me everything was in process, I'd feel better, and then the same cycle. I would get into a state of panic, I would call them, they'd reassure me, and weeks and months went by, and I had nothing to show for the money that I had invested with them. They just kept on telling me everything I wanted to hear, and I kept waiting and waiting, and I began to get angry. I began to feel fear. Have I lost all of that investment? Has it all been for nothing? I felt like a loser. I felt like a loser because I felt like I should have known, I should have checked, I shouldn't have trusted, and it was hard swallowing that loss. And as I was feeling stressed about it, as I was feeling annoyed about it, I kept attracting people to me that gave me other negative messages about my ability to succeed in my business. I'll be speaking with a friend or an old colleague or a family member, and I kept getting the same messages. Messages like, don't give up recruitment. You're really good at it. Why don't you do your counselling and coaching on the side? Not everyone gets to do what they want to do. Sometimes people do their passion for free. It's important to stick to what you know. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't, someone even said to me. Others would say, I just can't see it working. It's not going to work in Dubai. It's not going to work. All of these fears I absorbed. I absorbed everybody else's opinion. And I started to feel weak. I started to feel sorry for myself. It's too hard. I had let negativity into my mind and body again. I didn't feel like exercising. I felt flat and deflated. I had no energy. I was too exhausted to do anything. Nothing was flowing for me. And worst of all was my self-disappointment. I began to feel stuck because I was stuck in a pity party for myself. Have you ever heard the expression, pour me a glass of wine, or pour me another drink? That was me. Then I had a major meltdown, an ordeal at the airport, and this is when it reached its peak. You see, a few months later, I was on my way to India to do a emotional body work counselling course. And as I stood in the queue at the Dubai airport to drop my bags and then to go through passport control, I began to get into a really negative, angry state again, in my own negative pity party. I began to feel so much anger at the social media lady and was complaining in my own head about what she had done. How dare she do this to me? She's so horrible. I hate her. How could she do this to me? I've lost all this money, all this time wasted. Bad things always happen to me. It's not fair. I'm always losing money or being ripped off. Can't believe she lied to me. She's taken me for a fool. Can't believe I fell for it. I'm an idiot for trusting her. How dare she do this to me? I'm so annoyed. Life is crap. Everything is going wrong. Maybe I should just give up. I'm never going to make it. Maybe everyone is right. Maybe I just do this on the side. Maybe I do this for free. Maybe I'm going to be in recruitment for the rest of my life. I got so wrapped up in my pity party. So worked up, I could feel the stress and tension in my chest, in my face. It was horrible. It was eating me alive. But I didn't know how to stop it. I knew it was bad for me. I could feel myself getting worked up and stressed, but I couldn't stop it. I got so lost in all of the complaining inside my head that things went from bad to horrendous. Consumed in my own negativity, I lost my passport inside the hand luggage security belt. So I'd gone through passport control, gave my passport over, and then when you put your stuff in the belt, it must have disappeared somewhere then. Because when I went to board the plane, of course I was clueless that I didn't have my passport because I just used my passport. And they asked me for my passport to get onto the plane. And I frantically emptied out my bag. And I did this again and again. You know when you've lost something and you go through your bag and you get everything out and then you look and you can't find it. Then you look again and you can't find it. Then you look again and you can't find it. Then you just think, and then you empty the whole bag out and chuck everything out and you go through everything and you're like, where on earth could it be? Then you retrace your steps back. I brought a bottle of water to the shop, so I ran back to the shop, got really stressed there, then came back, and then the flight people were telling me they're going to have to take my bag off the plane, and then they were calling the airport security, and then they said the airport security had my passport, but I would need to go back down to arrivals because they had taken it to arrivals. And so I missed my flight. I then went back down to arrivals and they said, no, they didn't take it. It's in somewhere else. So I had to go somewhere else. And then I had to buy a new flight and I had 11 hours at the airport. Can you imagine? What a lesson I'd learnt. The negativity, the complaining, the believing that bad things happen to me, the believing that lose money. I created all of this drama because my mind was so consumed that I didn't even hold on to my passport. So during the start of the 11 hours I was waiting at the airport, I felt, again, pity for myself. And then I realised I had to get a grip. That I had to stop complaining. That complaining was poison. And that complaining serves no one. When we complain, we don't help anybody. We don't help the people around us. We don't help ourselves. So I made a vow. That's it. I'm not going to complain for the rest of the day, for the rest of the trip, I'm just not going to complain anymore. Accept, move forward, focus on what I can control. And I then had the most amazing holiday, met the most wonderful people, had great training, had an amazing laughter, love-filled time. So that was my lesson for. No matter what financial struggles we go through, no matter what is happening around us, don't complain. And right now, with everything that's happening, be a leader, be a role model. Don't get into the complaining. All over social media,